Because sometimes, I get too associated with Bitcoin or EOS these days, and of the principal chains. Ethereum is the one where we can benefit, and Virgil and I have spent a bunch of time talking about how to get EOS and the Ethereum Foundation working together. We're like, let's do some joint, because we're now at the highest level. I've been the peace broker. And at the high levels of the ecosystems, everybody's like now understands that we're all different. That we're not competing, that we're all innovating in different ways. But that takes a little time, and I'm always having those conversations. But one of the ways that you express that to the rest of the ecosystem is by building bridges. And visible bridges that demonstrate, because in the rank and file or in the public, there's a lot of like very discord of where people think it's us against them, when it's us attempting to change the old system, not even us against the old. The goal is for the old and the new to win together. The idea is that this is meant to be an evolution of our species and our planet. An evolution specifically, not a revolution.
So do you see the whole interoperability as a way of building a bridge, or
one of the ways?
But
I'm not sure.
One of the way, but a key component.
Building bridges, because we're all innovating. I'm not sure how in the future whether we end up with one principal system or we end up with a bunch of systems for interoperability. I don't know. But what I do know we have today is a lot of iteration. There's a lot of iterating going on. And I imagine the system that we end up with, it doesn't even exist yet. This is all prototyping stuff.
I agree with you.
Now the prototypes are getting more serious.
So how do you see 5G playing?
I believe that we're giving birth to the new internet.
Right.
And the new internet is not just blockchain.
Right.
The blockchain is the securitization layer, the security layer. It adds a bunch of the private key management layer. But that's only one of the components of the stack of what will be the new internet. 5G, 6G, these types of things are obviously going to be the network layer.
Right. And so you see that being a service layer on top of 5G. In other words, you're getting a lot of the authentication.
I think it all ends up being incorporated into a stack.
Yeah, that's right.
Because all these it's going to be 5G nodes, right? And what is the tech that exists within that node?
Exactly. Yeah.
And we're going to end up with two internets. You're going to end up with a not to be.
Go ahead.
There's going to be the Chinese internet. There's going to be everybody else's internet. There's going to be one that's very, restricted.
Blocked down. Right. Right.
Yeah. Well, but I don't like to. What I'm saying is kind of obvious, but not to everybody. And I try to choose my words carefully because this isn't meant to be a negative thing. It's just stating
what's happening.
Yeah. That we've got essentially two internets being developed. One that is going to be very closed, and one that's going to be very open.
We hope it's going to be open. We're very.
It will by nature because of the fact that it's going to be so distributed.
I don't see it. I all for the goal.
I believe that yes. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I do believe
I think that's the architecture that makes sense.
And there might be 100 others, in between versions, but you essentially have a very controlled internet being built right now, ideologically, and a very open internet being built, and then you're going to have everything potentially in between. But what we're seeing across the planet right now is, the battle ultimately for liberty.
Oh yeah, it's the sovereignty battle.
It's self-sovereignty and the future of humanity. This is like we always talk about proof of stake. I prefer to say what's at stake. What's at stake here is everything. Yeah, it's all at stake. And the question is, what do you believe in? Do you believe in sovereignty? No.
Or distributed sovereignty, self-sovereignty. Decentralized sovereignty.
So you could talk about.
I actually was reading.
Oh, okay. So one of the things we're doing in MIT is we're developing part of a group called City Sciences Group. We're developing a platform for cities and being able to model cities and actually create new kinds of economic zones, local economies, and cities in order to incentivize the transition. We believe that we have is to make a transition to an alternative economy. And it might be limited, I think, like 30 years. So you're transitioning out of a fossil commodity into a renewable economy. You're a concentrated industrial model, a distributed model. So this is where the tokenomics. So we're interested in designing kinds of banking systems, so that AI autonomous banking systems, they can actually accelerate transitions from one form of economy to another. So we're raising a fund adjacent to MIT, but is accelerating the build out of that ecosystem. So we've been using Cityscope in 12, 14 cities around the world, China, on board. And we see those as the vehicles for accelerating this transition. So if you can start to create an alternative, viable economy that's stable and converge fiscal and monetary policy together, this is a new kind of it's a new kind of engineering, because the banks are the engines of change, and they're archaic. They combine with new kinds of exchanges, and they're fully decentralized exchanges. So we're looking at doing sort of micro monetary policy.
And so I've got 40 minutes. So let's just talk about what we want to cover. I can give an update on kind of the state of the
accelerate the transition to stable.
I can give a state of the union address. What are the other things that we want to cover?
And
State of the Union, which is where we are now, the
it's going to be like a
future.
big short in the economy, because
Those
you're
are called two good macros.
renewables.
And then what other things do we want to cover specifically?
Hey,
I can talk about Korea, I can talk about Puerto Rico, I can talk about solar.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. Stylist.
Nice to meet you.
Back in Korea.
Back in Korea again. Yeah.
So you like it, or?
Well, how many times have I been, Pearson? How many times have I been to Korea?
You live here.
Right?
You live here.
I mean, I think more than 100 times.
Really?
Oh, you live in Pyeongchang?
Yeah, I lived in Pyeongchang in 2006 and 7. Without the hat. Well, my current jobs.
I was expecting you to be the underdressed one.
Well, yeah, my current jobs have required me to begin. It requires a uniform.
I can explain.
Actually, I just got back from Rome. I was just knighted by one of the papal orders last Saturday.
Oh,
It's a
really?
limited product. Middle-aged and Credit Suisse.
Well, back in what's the uniform, right? Half of my gigs now require me to wear, a suit. It's not a suit of armor, but modern days, I guess, this is how it's perceived still.
This group is
So
very
tomorrow,
2017.
Which, by the way, the Order of Knights that
30% of total Korea
so
budget.
this is one of the papal orders, our church that the Vatican gave us is also rather
We
amazing.
start to make
It's the
a-
church where Michelangelo lived
Wow.
16 years and designed the Sistine Chapel.
Right now,
And so, this is not a public church, you can't enter anything. It's only
I'm
for
trying
this
to,
night.
I
Oh,
set
I
up
see.
a new company
And,
and doing the art
And so it
related.
has an underground tunnel that goes directly to the
So
Vatican.
we're thinking
You can see in
we
Michelangelo's
are
bedroom
using non-fungible
the astrological paintings that are sitting there, and then there's some of it, some busts,
Oh,
there's artwork.
so I wrote a
in there.
piece on non-fungible tokens. One of the things that we did,
But our Order of Knights is interesting in two ways.
A
One is the
nonprofit
Knights Women.
called Token Commons Foundation, but also developed a
So,
project called Switch around accelerating the transition
Our
to
Order of Knights Women.
renewables.
And secondarily,
we have a
also,
very large bank,
it's,
it's a $500 million
it's secular.
project. that they're
So
involved.
it's
And they want to
Christian,
put all
but,
their building
you don't
assets
need to be
on the
Christian to be
network to
knighted by
verify
the
the
church.
production of sustainable energy.
it's very, it's,
So,
I get
what
off
we've
of
done
these sorts of
is
things, I don't accept
we
them
built
most of
this
the time.
out. And we're using non-fungible tokens as titles to verify production. So we're taking data off the IoT device, but validating, there's a serious smart contract, we can validate, create data containers.
This is different.
And then feed that to an AI device, a machine, they can do machine learning, and they can do predictive analytics. It also allows them to verify that asset, that data that they can then trade. And so this is what non-fungible.
Yeah, it's full of everything.
And my own view is that one of the problems with the internet was everything was fungible. where it's like everything can be changed, it's ready to copy. It's great, went all over, but you had no idea the progress of what it was. So suddenly you couldn't trust anything. But now you can create search, and you can have search about verification or problems, or permissions, or privacy. It's highly scalable. So
I'm not
in our
talking
project,
publicly
we're
about
here to
the
go large, large.
I was mostly just sharing that with food because I'm one of those
So
odd
I
nights
think it's.
that I get nighted within 24 hours. I'm already in
Because
leadership and
it's
helping
not that
decide the direction of the
complex,
order.
you know? It's really not.
It's like I was supposed to have been there a while ago, I guess.
11:55, and so we're
But
actually going to develop a whole new kind of protocol around it, because the whole issue of trust.
The knighthood is only
And
about
people
100
create baskets of them.
200.
And you can have that,
That's
change
going
those
to
baskets and have different
changing
requirements
quickly.
based
I'm
on
driving
who I'm
along.
willing to rely upon. That's what I thought, I won't take that, I want this to be updated, so you have a lot of flexibility in how to do it. And over a period of time, you'll stabilize the system and you come to realize certain kinds of market signals are more stable than others. So that's the idea.
Yeah, from brief research,
So state of the chain
guys say that we can
Future
apply this
of blockchain,
and
and then
but
scholarships.
like considering all the situation in Korea, like the legal thing, government status, they're very against about utility token.
That's what they.
Well, I'll talk about it.
Yeah,
I'll talk
There's
about a
no
few things
intrinsic value.
specifically.
Yeah.
But the NFT
because of what
the
you were
utility
doing.
company is.
I'll talk about it.
It's a title, right,
So
so-
that's
Smart
why
rates.
I'm
And what's
trying
going on
to, with
in
cooperation
the
with
context, I think
Korea
this is an opportunity
Journalist
to
Association,
talk about what you're
Right.
doing, to talk about what the governor
to
in
make
Puerto
a
Rico just
platform
did.
trading the very
And,
expensive
you know, we're starting to see smart grids.
small pieces.
Yes, so tokenizing, breaking it down into security-backed tokens and asset-backed tokens. Yeah, that's what
When you
it's
talk
talking
about
Yeah.
They're doing a lot of that in New York.
5G
And in New York, there's a requirement for developers to
we just announced our
in
film fund
development
that came
have
out
to
2
do
days ago.
verification and production of sustainable energy. So it's
The Hong
built
Kong
into the
government
regulations.
So
So in our case, our
this is
customers
this
are the very
government,
large
Brian
bank on
Kavanaugh,
top
the
of the
bank
world.
and it's
They're
not-
putting all their
not
assets,
public.
all their property.
We also
assets
just
on
announced our
it.
new bank. I don't know if you saw
And then they're
that last
getting
week.
Ernst and Young to
But,
verify the
I started my
process.
latest
saying
crypto
that
bank.
any wreck
Yeah.
that is created by
I've been
this
doing
is a valid
starting
wreck.
banks for about 6
Right.
years. But,
So, and that goes into the smart contract.
It's Medici.
So,
It's Medici
I'm
Bank.
very
Yeah,
excited
Medici.
about what that can do, because I
It's
do
a Puerto Rican
think
bank, and so
you're gonna
Prince
get
Lorenzo de
asset-backed
Medici
security
is the
tokens
face of
with
the bank.
titles to them.
He's
It
the
creates all the
royal
related
prince
preferences,
of the
does
Medici line,
compliance.
going back to when they
creates
started the
liquidity.
first banks, created the
That's
Renaissance,
that's
and,
gonna,
you know,
that's when the
the
institutions come in,
patrons to the
that's when the
Medicis
developers
of the
is
world.
safe for us.
Because
That's
the-
part of our portfolio
as I like
on
to
there.
tell the story, is the
That's why I
Medicis
think
started the
these
first bank,
Hello
and the
there.
Medici family is back to start the last bank.
Very good.
Hello, sir.
So Samuel State.
So we've been.
Is it time to do great things together?
Struggling against the government.
Is it time to do great things together?
Last
What's
week,
new?
I guys
yeah.
from the Texas, we just came to our office for the audit.
Yeah. Oh,
But
really?
It was big here.
Oh, good.
Result was good, but we need to pay to the tax of like tax advisory. It's painful, guys. We trade 5 or 6 million. But we cannot deposit as a fiat currency with the corporate name.
Yeah.
So a lot of investigation, proven as a transparent.
They don't, yeah, no. Well, you still have that absolute sacrifice. I do think security bank, asset-backed security tokens. I don't think that's going to be a big issue in the U.S.
Same thing in Korea. So I'm trying to speak to the government directly on this